The Me Too campaign has now stretched into sports, from network people to broadcasters, sportscasters, also former athletes that are now analysts. Jayar Jackson here, Rick Strom, Robert Little, Denise Jones. We're here to talk about the latest thing that's happened. Now this is at ESPN, there's been more accusations. This now between John Buccigross, which is a longtime anchor at SportsCenter, and Adrienne Lawrence, who apparently had it was a 2-year talent stint to build up her I guess her skills to do such a thing. And there was a big story in Boston Globe about the atmosphere at ESPN and the things that were apparently happening. And her story with John Buccigross was right in the middle of it. Let's take a look at some of the quotes from the story. Some women said that the environment at ESPN can be so hostile and plum positions for female sports journalists so precarious that they hid pregnancies, felt pressure to take short maternity leaves in order to protect their positions. That's like 101. One anchor even did her scheduled broadcast while she was having a miscarriage to prove her commitment to her job, according to former employees. On to the next, let's see a little bit more of this. Another woman, one of the few solo female anchors on SportsCenter, said she was told her show was moving in another direction and she'd no longer have a job in it, weeks before she went on maternity leave last year. 101. ESPN has also failed to address its deeply ingrained culture of sexism and hostile treatment of women, Adrienne Lawrence said, who's in the middle of this story. And she filed the complaint this summer against ESPN because she worked with them and joined them in 2015. Apparently this relationship with John Buccigross was in 2016. Messages between them between June of last year and September of last year. Apparently, we're definitely just released by ESPN to fight back against her accusations. There was 4 pages of text messages. I went through all of them. There was one point that stuck out to me before we get to what you guys think about this. Just near the end, the first few pages is basically dinner dates, meetings, concerts, having fun together, cordial, back and forth. What ESPN did do in these text messages is that they took away they eliminated the pictures that John had of his chest, his bare chest, shirtless pictures sent to Miss Lawrence. But where it picks up is, I can't read here, but apparently he went to a Pearl Jam concert. And she said it's a great pic. We don't know if the pic was exactly what it was, but she's jealous, she wants to go to Pearl Jam. He said he wish he would have known, he has connections, he can get her at these places. She's responding very directly that she wants to go to these concerts. He said, I'll go later, go to the next one with me.
Right.
So the one point that Lawrence did point out was, he sent a picture of himself, flipping pancakes apparently, shirtless. And she said, put a shirt on, sir. You have to do that with a shirt on. You need to wear clothes, sir. And then she sent a next message, are you around this weekend? And they made other plans. So as these text messages came out, what I've noticed is everyone online, which is a dime a dozen people, are now saying, oh, damning evidence. I can't believe you went on dates with the guy, you flirted back with him, you hung out, you talked back and forth, and now you have these accusations. Is there any validity to this stuff, you guys?
I mean,
to her accusations versus what John Buccigross apparently was doing, which he admitted. I sent some shirtless pictures.
Right. Well, I think that the text messages obviously are censored because you made it a point that there's no images, so we don't know entirely how the conversation went, and it feels like it's only a piece of the conversation. It's not necessary. I don't know how long they've known each other, so there's so much missing to the story that I don't think it's enough to call her a liar or not even a liar, just like her taking advantage of maybe he did something that upset her, and now she's throwing these accusations at him. I think because of the whole Me Too scandal and just women in any kind of industry, and most importantly sports, that's a male-driven industry. It's really unfortunate that ESPN's carried the role of the woman and made it so disposable. And they said the whole like maternity leave and women being afraid of not going on maternity leave, having a miscarriage, and just all kinds of things that come with being a woman. The fact that they have to hide it because they're afraid of losing their job, something that they've worked so hard for and gone to school for, is really unfortunate. And now to have this young lady's text messages censored, and we're taking the angle of calling her, that the statement isn't valid enough because now she's flirting back. She's having an honest conversation with somebody, and maybe at some point she probably was interested, probably wasn't. I don't think it's enough evidence to really show one side or the other.
Can we get a little piece of her statement at the end in her response to the Boston Globe article? Let's throw that up real fast. Just the last part of it being, ESPN's recent behavior, its decisions, 1, singled me out, 2, ignored my key allegations, which ESPN knows are far broader than text messages and photos, and then 3, released select self-serving text messages, which only further evidences the culture of this network and the links it will go to for the unethical means to employ, it will employ to try to silence women. So she's upset about the manner in which they released these text messages. And so it kind of puts her in a position where people will say, okay, we'll release the rest of them then. Show us what happened. And that's even, I think that's also dangerous ground to be on.
You know, you guys remember the book, Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars?
Yes.
Context. Context in the digital age of DMs and text messages and emails and not as much face-to-face conversation can be lost. We don't know the context of their relationship. Or we don't know if one person was thinking differently than the other person. I think we've all maybe have had exchanges with people and say, oh, that guy likes me, that girl likes me. And maybe the woman or the man on the other end is saying, oh, she's cool, but I'm not interested. But because of the way that they are and the way that they talk, things are taken out of context. Like I'm a very much like, hey love, hi sweetie, you know, but mean nothing by it. You know, just polite Southern Midwest raised, you know, what my grandma called everybody sweetie. Every girl sweetie or love or you look nice today. You know, it makes you nervous about how you talk to people. Now, you know how you respond. So like if we just met, right? And I'm like, you know, some of you are really pretty. To me, that is just a compliment.
It's a statement,
To others, it may be, man, I can't even come to work without some guy hitting on me. So I don't know what as a man or a woman, what you should do right now. If anything, you need to be 100% clear before you start taking, you know, pancake shirtless pictures, before you start calling people doll face, and you just have to be really, really clear because in the end, the context of what you think is happening and what the other person thinks is happening could be totally different.
But you know what, a shirtless, I feel like the second he threw in that shirtless photo, at that point, he was in the wrong. Like it's aggressive, that's very aggressive. Like how do you just throw in a shirtless photo at somebody like that without there wasn't enough evidence to show that she was interested in a shirtless photo. And then for her to say, you know, like put a shirt on, I don't think so. I don't think there was enough evidence to show that.
See, they're in the small things. Sorry, Rick, I promise. You haven't had a chance to say anything yet. But when she said throw a shirt on, sir, then there's a smiley face. There's so many small things.
Was there a smiley face in the sir?
There's so many small things. Right, you see how, exactly. You see what that is? It changes everything, right?
I think it ended in a period.
Right.
But let's just say for this
See what I mean?
Oh, maybe no, I'm sorry. If I misrepresented that, I'm sorry.
It's just funny. It's just funny how like in 2017, Denise was like, there was a smiley face. And like it changes.
Because that means a lot. No, maybe there was. I'm sorry. If I was wrong,
there was. She said, great pic.
You need to wear clothes, sir. No smiley face.
No smiley face at all.
I'm sorry.
She was not.
But that means a lot. You're right. It means a lot, and it's giving tone to a message when you can't hear someone's voice.
Right, because there's a big difference with like put a shirt on, sir.
Right.
As opposed to please, you know, this is uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, sir. People joke
to wear clothes
all the time. Like look, guys, if a guy got a picture and it was from a girl and say she was scantily clad, and he was like, ma'am, come on now. You wouldn't think it was bad. But from the flip side of that, obviously from a woman, you say, hey,
because of the way
that's a little bit, you know, too much. Now, granted, he goes by Bucci Man, so maybe he likes to be, you know, without a shirt.
He calls himself Bucci Man.
You can't give yourself a nickname.
He says Bucci Man, and you know, and his whole thing is, you know, he wears little tight shirts all the time. So I don't know if that's his normal thing. You know, maybe he sent the pancake pic to like 7. You know, some people, you know, mass text that shirtless pic, but at the point she says,
what?
Put up, you know.
He said mass text.
Mass text, yeah. You know,
that's horrible. That's horrible.
No.
Look, so is he like shooting his shot? Like,
yeah, with like a whole bunch of people. I saw somebody on Twitter get caught the other day. It was a woman actually, and she was trying to send a DM to like all of her, guy friends, and it all said the same thing, like, have a great morning, King. I'm so blessed to have you in my life. But she sent it to like 8 people. People do that all the time.
Fail. Okay. Yeah. So my thoughts on this are, firstly, this is coming from someone who has never sent a shirtless selfie. I think once you, and a former coworker of mine told me this, but he's like, once you get down here, like, what are you thinking? Like, why do you hit send when you're taking a picture of your chest or your junk? Like, who gives a shit? If you know what'll really prove something to a woman is how you treat them and how you talk to them, not your physique or not your penis for like a dick pic or anything like that. And again, this is coming from someone who never has and literally never will. Now, on top of that, this is something where we are getting to the point where the dynamic is shifting in a very, very positive way for women. This was a damning report from the Boston Globe, because we all thought with the They Have All the Fun book and shit like that, like, oh, ESPN is so liberal beyond any of our wildest imagination. They treat everybody well. But the thing is, with this report, and then on top of that, as JR prefaced by going into this entire story, that they release selective text messages. Well, where there's smoke, there's fire. You obviously have something to hide, and that's what I think I would like to know.
Yeah.
Lastly, this is a subject where I could speak about it, Robert can speak about it, JR can speak about it. And again, from a humane perspective, we know what is right, we know what is wrong. But for example, there was a skit that SNL did like 2 weeks ago, and they did it in like song funny form, where it was like A.D. Bryant, Kate McKinnon, and a few others who were talking about what it's like to be a woman literally every single day. I mean, I will admit it, this is something that I just don't know. I have 2 sisters who I learned from, I have a great mother, and I have a girlfriend who I have learned from about what they have to go through every single day. For example, like living in LA, it's 60 degrees when it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night. There was a girl running by herself on a dark street where we live. Okay, in LA, and I was like, oh, that doesn't seem very safe. And she goes, no, it's not. And look at the back of her hair. I'm like, well, what? She's like, it's a ponytail. And I'm like, oh, so? And she goes, well, when you're a woman, you need to think about these things. You need to have it in a bun up because people can pull your pony. Like, again, this is something that I would have never known and I would have never understood. But my main point is, as a guy, from a humane perspective, we can be sympathetic to this, but it's just a world that we don't know. However, to be educated, this is something that we should all change, our entire perception of how women are treated in the workplace and how to just improve their lives that much more.
Well, there's one way, I think, as far as the Buccigross and Lawrence story. There's one way to make sure, and maybe he doesn't know, and I've, like you said, we've probably all been in these situations where you don't exactly know. Maybe I'm too straightforward, I'm a little too brash. I'm honest to a fault. I've hurt people's feelings before by just going, hey, so what's up? So is this, or people ask me, and I've straight up said, oh, well, this isn't really that. And we were still cool, by the way. Or even for a moment we weren't, because feelings were hurt. And then a month later, we're cool, because that shit got out of the way now. Sometimes you just have to let it be, ask and let it be known. Be like, so we've been in this situation. We've had dinner, I've cooked for you. We've gone out to concerts. I'm not trying to get anything, but are we cool?
Right? I have one question, though. This is just one question. Obviously, like you said, a lot of women out there treated horribly in the workplace, especially in sports media. I mean, it's mostly men,
Very much so.
What happens, though, when that situation that we know is actually happening, and then someone takes advantage of it because they're upset because of the way they were let go?
Because that's the part of the story that we haven't even pointed out yet.
Like, so I don't know John Buccigross. All I know is Bucci Mane. I don't know what he thought, what they did. I only know the selective text messages that have come out. There's not like saying guilt or innocent on any way.
Right.
But if she still worked at ESPN, would she had made this complaint?
Well, the thing is, she in the Boston Globe, just allow me to interject, in the Boston Globe article, she did say that she went to HR a few times about this, and they silenced her throughout the process.
Which is not surprising from.
But it's a fair question to ask.
But then the question is, if that's the case, so she went to HR, and she's uncomfortable with this. Why? He says, I'm at a concert. Why would you say, I want to go to the next one?
Yeah, I guess we'll see the timeline. If it happened after,
I don't know if it's like that's the thing. We don't have a good timeline.
We're dipping our toes into the what ifs and hypotheticals. But my own personal opinion is, I've been there before where I've just wanted to befriend somebody who has like
That's what I was gonna say.
This legacy at a respective company. So maybe you try a little bit harder to hang with them. Or again, a world that I don't really know is maybe you're trying to get a date with them. I'm not really sure. All I can say from my perspective is I've been there before. I've been like, oh, let me know about the next time you guys go out for beers or something like that.
Right. It's very common, I feel, for somebody to just want to. Maybe she doesn't come. Yeah, hang. She doesn't come across a lot of people that are Pearl Jam fans like she is, and she finally found somebody and said, "Oh man, big fan. You know, let me know when the next one is." It was, in my opinion, in the tone of the text message. Again, it's very limited, so you can't really pick a side. But I think it was innocent. I think she just found someone that was just as much of a fan as she is, and she said, "Hey, let me know when the next one is." I don't think it was. She was implying like she was flirting, like, oh, let's go out on a one-on-one. I think friends can go to a concert together, and you know, the decisions that you make, obviously, at that point, you got to be smart.
Okay, so you're in this business, obviously. You're a woman in this business.
She is? Great way to preface this question.
No, the point being, like, because of that, we don't get enough of that. It's a minority in the business.
Right.
So then, if you're her best friend, or if you're in that situation, at what point would you have stopped that? If you know, like you're in this 2-year talent development program, you're with ESPN, you're about to get on.
Right.
You're now appearing, and one of the top guys is interested in you, even if it's friendship. How do you play that? Is it worth it for you to play that line and him not knowing exactly what's happening?
Honestly, it's a really hard game to play because when I first got into the industry, I feel like I was overly masculine, just so people like my peers that were mostly men could see like, oh, that's just D, like she's cool, whatever. Like they're not gonna try to flirt with me or make me feel uncomfortable. They're gonna give me tasks like they would give any other guy. So I played the whole like, you know what, I'm one of you guys. I'm one of the guys.
Punch guys in the arm.
Punch guys in the arm, play ball with them, school them on the court. Like just really do. Let them know like I'm just as equal as them. If I was her friend and you know, I would definitely tell her, hey, you know, be careful because it's a really fine line. Like you can really give you can misconstrue what you're trying to say or something like, oh man, but it's just a friend. Like found a Pearl Jam concert. All right, cool. Just be smart about it, whatever. But and I genuinely feel she was being smart about it. Maybe she really just wanted to go to a concert with a fan like she is. But I don't think like the text messaging stuff.
Is it scary to tell him? Like, say she's like, okay, he's trying to get this too many datey type of interaction.
As soon as he sent that picture, though, would have been like, yo, he for sure likes you. Like, you gotta be careful.
But so is it?
You don't want to make him feel comfortable.
Yeah, is it scary to then tell the guy himself, hey, let's chill on that? Because now you're worried about your career.
Yeah, it is scary because at that point it's like you don't want to insult somebody, but at the same time you didn't ask for that. So how do you? Whatever she says is gonna be a diss because at that point you're telling him, oh, I'm not interested in the photo. Oh, I didn't like the photo. Oh, you must not be good enough. You know, I must not be good enough for the photo.
Yeah.
So whatever she says, whether she dismisses it or just says she's not interested, whatever, like it's gonna be an insult. It's gonna hurt his ego. And at that point, that's why I think she kept the conversation going because frankly, she didn't want to be that person that's like, a B word.
And while we're on it, I think like that's an important part of taking the blame and putting it on who's at fault here. As a supervisor and as the superior, you know what I mean? Like it's on him. Like Jayar said, like, oh, at what point would you have stopped? That's not on an employee to decide. An employee's the employee. They show up to work and they follow your orders. Like, not that simple, obviously, but like that's the basis of the relationship. The employee shouldn't be the one to decide when they have to cut things off, when things have gone too far. That's the sole part of being, like not the sole, but that's like a main part of being a boss is you are the supervisor of these people and you need to know when situations are okay and not okay.
You need to lead by example.
Lead by example.
You came in like Darth Vader. I was like, what's happening there? I think the lesson to be learned here is that in the workplace, especially a workplace that's dominated by men and only have a few women, is just keep it professional. That way you don't have to worry. If it comes one way, then like you said, just cut it off because it's not worth. Look, Buccigross has been at ESPN for decades. You don't want to lose your career.
20 years.
Yeah, now his shirtless picture is going to be on Google Images for the rest of his life.
Right.
Is that really worth it? Is it really worth it for I think I can do this or I'm a superior or whatever? Just everybody just go to work, and then go home. And then do all your flirting with your IG models.
Right.
Then you don't have to work.
Yeah,
Just to keep, well, maybe not, I don't know. But you know, keep it, you know, with people that you don't work with, and then you never have to worry about these type of work situations.
Completely. Alrighty, thoughts, comment section below. Subscribe to 2IT Sports.